to Mistic, and today we are reacting to the United States Explained, Part 1, by Geopold. Make sure to check out them down below. And I am a southerner. I will not say what state. Maybe you can guess, but don't comment it. I have been to a good number of states, but I haven't really explored them that much. So I want to see how relatable this is to the states I have been to. And yeah, let's get on into it.
America, the land of freedom, fast food, highways, oil, eagles, and you know those fun, wholesome, harmless steel devices. Obviously, I'm talking about cars, which you can use to travel from one state to another, of which there are 50 spanning 6 time zones, 4 million miles of road, and 200,000 fast food restaurants. Well, today we're going to be going through those states one by one and ranking them all on this beautiful tier list. Little disclaimer, this video is going to be in 2 parts because I want to make sure I actually talk about every state and not rush any essential analysis, maybe with the exception of South Dakota. Yeah, anyway, the one unified video would just be far too long for some of you guys' attention spans. I would have to start incorporating some Subway Surfers gameplay. You get the idea. Our first state up is Florida, the ancestral lands of the world famous Florida man, the shining beacon of freedom, the mecca for redneck hillbillies and Disney adults alike. Hear me out right, these guys have to get an on.
I do not count. Now this may be controversial, but I do not count Florida as southern. It is like its own area. They are not southern, they're just unhinged. I may be wrong. Feel free to comment if you're from Florida, but
honorary S out of respect, because this state is truly the pinnacle of America. Everything they stand for, everything they fantasize about, other states could only dream about. The simply humongous amount of soulless corporate slop malls, the most gigantic, colossal, nauseating suburbs this world has ever seen, the sheer lack of any minorly usable public transport, the fucking highway systems. Oh my god, it's enough to make President Truman ascend into the clouds. Just look at this shit. That's a 2-hour drive, bro, only in Florida. That's right, we only...
Is that good or bad? What do you mean?
Just look at this shit. That's a 2-hour drive, bro, only in...
Are you saying that's a long time? Oh yeah, European. Forgot. I think my longest car drive, not me driving, but in the car, was like maybe 13 hours of just like no actual stops other than like gas and stuff. I think that was the longest, but my longest road trip was probably like 70 hours. So 2 hours is like something I do like once a week that your European mind could never understand.
Florida. That's right, we only use boats to suspiciously traffic that one specific sugary, energizing, addicting substance into Miami. Hell yeah, I'm talking about Coca-Cola. Obviously, I'm talking about Coca-Cola. I mean, almost 70% of Florida residents drink Coca-Cola daily. What the f? Nah, these guys have to get an S. It's unnegotiable. Next up, Georgia. Man, what can I say? King Carly, UFC, Stalin, Skibbity Toilet. These guys are seriously producing.
Wait, what came out of Georgia?
UFC, unnegotiable. Next up, Georgia. Man, what can I say? King Carly, UFC, Stalin, Skibbity Toilet. These guys are seriously producing some of the best contributions to our world today. Wait, hold up. Oh, no, no, no. Yeah, this state is just mid, honestly. They got one of the world's worst managed urban sprawls. But I'm gonna bump them up because of this sheer megalith of music to come out of this state. Anyone from Ray Charles to Gucci Mane, I'm almost certain your favorite music legitimately wouldn't exist without the influence of this one ugly American city. Also, peaches. You know a state's gonna be amazing when they're
I know the song like Georgia Peaches. I'm not even gonna try it, but like, if you're Southern, you might know the song.
Entire pride is based around one fruit that they're okay at growing.
Babe, how that peach cobbler tasting?
It's alright. I had better at the school cafeteria.
They can get a medium C out of respect. Man, South Carolina is just like Georgia, but without any of the redeeming qualities that Georgia has. Their biggest city has 150,000 people. Oh, hell nah, bro. What? I was trying to find a reason not to put you guys in D. So I looked up things South Carolina's known for. Comes up with the city of Columbia. You guys find me one person who hears the word Columbia and thinks of South Carolina. Bro, Columbia, British Columbia, Columbus, Christopher Columbus, District of Columbia, the fucking Coke brand. Ain't no one thinking about South Carolina, bro. Sorry to break it to you. I really got no reason to put...
I know someone from South Carolina, and that's really all. They're a pilot or in training.
South Carolina any higher than E. Sorry, guys. On the other hand, North Carolina. This is the cool sibling. This is the well-fed sibling. This is the only sibling worth giving a fucking visit. And let's be real here. This is the good ending. Anyway, North Carolina. It's in the top 10 states for population. They got a diverse natural landscape and a diverse economy. It birthed the aeroplane, Pepsi, Krispy Kreme, mini golf, Fred Durst, the machine gun. Wow, what a breathtaking fleet of goddamn American innovations, man. I never thought I'd do this, but I think I'm willing to put one of the Carolinas in A, you know. Now, Virginia. I don't know, man. All that comes to mind is the Appalachian Mountains. So,
I think I've been in the Appalachian Mountains.
Now, from my understanding, Virginia is split into a few subdivisions. To the west, you got... To the north, you got people that get that DC money, use that DC metro, pay them DC taxes, but also get really, really offended if you refer to them as being from DC, not Northern Virginia. And then you got the southeast, which is just frat bros and sparkly teeth, spray tanned Jersey construction trash. I'm feeling a D. Maryland. I gotta give these guys credit where credit's due. They did name themselves after one of the greatest confectionery items ever created. I respect that. Now, this is a pretty small state, so I'm gonna end up basing 100% of my analysis off of Baltimore. And
closer
man,
to the size
what
of
a city.
your
Baltimore,
country.
despite being a relatively small, seriously mid city, manages to somehow constantly remain relevant in the world, be that through violent, fatal...
I was gonna go to Baltimore VidCon, but couldn't afford it. Maybe next time.
Collapses, or famous TV shows, or that freaking accent, bruh. Plus, I gotta give them some points for being one of the few American states with a half-decent flag. But, that being said, I think you guys are being hella greedy, right? Give this bit of land to West Virginia, man. God knows they need it. For now, I'm gonna give them an E, but, you know, I might bump it up depending on how many angry Baltimoreans I get in the comments. Now, Delaware. Hey, I got nothing bad to say about Delaware, yo. Please, someone hook me up with that Delaware tax status, man. Yo, I'ma represent you guys. I just want that. Now, really though, the only thing Delaware has going for it is its tax status and its OG status. And I mean real OG status. For my Brits, imagine the Guernsey of America. For my Europeans, imagine the Monaco of America. You get the deal. There's a lot of Delawareans with this fit and this type of humor. New Jersey.
I wish I had that laugh.
Beautiful. The hell is this? This is fucking Bayonne, New Jersey. It's on the water in Bayonne. Look at this. It's on the water in Bayonne.
Now, yeah, it might be one of the ugliest places on the face of planet Earth. Yes, they might all leech off New York's economy and then beat you to a pulp if you slightly insinuate that they even resemble a New Yorker. But look, man, I watched too much Sopranos to not give Jersey at least a C.
How about that prick's face when he saw the gat?
This show has had so much of an impact on me that I was in Italy calling any cut of meat I saw gabagool. I quite possibly unknowingly created a few lifelong nemesises with that. But whatever. New Jersey is getting a high D or a low C. I don't care. One thing I do care about though is how Italians view me. So I'm not gonna lie, the gabagool situation did embarrass me a little bit. If you want to travel or meet people with interesting other cultures and you don't want them to hate you like they hated me, you should definitely consider learning the language. That's where italki comes in. Using this online language learning platform, you can take personalized one-on-one lessons with native speaking teachers anytime, anywhere. Because it's just you and the teacher, the first 50 you...
I don't know if it's still active, but there's the code. I wonder what the original code was that he covered over.
There's an extra $5 when they make their first purchase of $10 or more. So be quick, sign up now. Pennsylvania. So Philly is, in my opinion, one of North America's best.
I pretty much have been to a lot of the southern states, but I don't think I've been to any of the northern states, except like California. Pick up.
Cities, okay? Surprisingly good
What
city
did that
planning.
say?
Best cities, okay?
Okay, after further research, I can confirm that that was completely incorrect, and I do not stand by that statement. But this next bit looks still kind of stints anyway. Okay.
Surprisingly good city planning, public transport and greenery for an American city. Maybe because it was founded, designed and built by Europeans. Either way, this city is home to Frank, okay? Also Philly cheesesteak, or also this guy.
What you doing, dickhead? Dickhead? Yeah. Yeah. Yo!
So look, if we're basing Pennsylvania's rating off Philly alone, we could be looking at S. But unfortunately, I gotta take into account... My theory is, because Pennsylvania is so unnecessarily big, they got 20 million fucking people. Basically, they just exist as their own thing, and therefore develop their own deep south, and it's west of the state, which is fucking off the rails, bro. It's straight up a stronghold of redneckness, a slice of Alabama in the north of the US, where you can find moonshine flowing, guns toting, money owing, corn growing, patriotism showing, truck towing, lawn mowing, dinghy rowing, church going, crop sowing, eagle crowing Americans. A tier. New York. Now, I've already talked about New York too much on this channel, so I won't bang on about it for too long. But importantly, in this state exists the biggest city in America. One of the most powerful, most important mega cities in the world. A magical place where dudes like this and dudes like this can peacefully coexist on the same train home. A beacon of humanity, a role model to every other western city. The proof.
Now what the hell is wrong with you? No Diddy! What the hell? You just kissing random people? You ain't paying fair!
I walked in that jail for the first time. You know what I smelled? I smelled butt ass. Butt ass. It was so bad. I mean, the funk hit you like boom.
I knew I wasn't tripping. Why the fuck is it all this bread? Like, I'm trying to call my mom and shit. Like, the fuck is going on?
Hey, yo, pause.
What's your wildest subway experience?
I came in front, I seen a pigeon get on for one stop and then get off on the next one. Like, you could have flew there, my nigga.
Don't ever fucking feel
Oh, I love that
New
video.
York is an easy S tier. It's like Pennsylvania but better. They got everything. Connecticut, my pretty
Never
uninformed
been.
opinion of this state is that it's basically one big suburb of New York City. Almost 100% residential detached family homes. Yes, they might have
That's
some
kind
of the
of
most prestigious
most
colleges in the world, but
states.
overall, it's generally like under-seasoned New York. It's like Timu, New York. For example, the famous staple pizza in Connecticut is essentially New York style pizza but without the cheese. Bro, that's like selling me a car with no wheels. That's like a house with
Isn't
no
it
roof.
under the
I know you
sauce?
guys are kind of meant to be the cleverest Americans, but yo, taking cheese off pizza is seriously one of the lowest
It's
IQ
under the
moves a human
sauce.
could make. If this is the kind
Maybe.
of thing they're
I
proud
don't
of
know if that's the
inventing,
same
Connecticut's
thing,
getting a
but-
low score, man. They can get a low C. Right, next up, Rhode Island. Firstly, ain't no fucking reason
That's
for this
where,
state to exist, bro. Rhode
that
Island
where
is like
Flats
Delaware if
is
they
from?
had tweakers instead of millionaires. It's like Delaware if the Biden family was only Hunter Biden. Rhode Island is really the outcast of New England, the unloved sibling. They got the worst potholes in the country,
I've never
some
been.
of the most potent strain of tweakers in the country, one of the worst reputations in the country. I mean, I know
Really?
they got Joey, but I think in a good
I
timeline,
feel like
the only Rhode Island
Florida
we have
or
on the planet
Texas
is
has
this
the
one.
worst.
Sorry guys, you know where you're going. Right, Massachusetts. In my eyes, this is a very decent state. Obviously they got Boston, home to Harvard, kinda. A
Boston
city
donuts.
where everyone's got a silly accent.
That's all I know.
Lots of lobster. I've heard
Never
people
been.
are quite friendly in the same way Northerners in the UK are friendly, which is that they're also very mean, but they're also like friendly. It's hard to explain. Once again, like with Philly and New York, Boston was actually built by people that have some regard for cities being pretty and green and efficient, walkable and nice. But for some reason, everyone from other East Coast states seems to fucking hate Boston. I don't know why, but it's like they all for once come together in a unified alliance to just shit on Massachusetts.
Bacon, egg, and cheese in Boston. What the what are we doing here? Hey, look at the egg. A square slice
That
of
is a
SpongeBob's
thick
ass.
piece of egg.
On an everything bagel.
I would love that.
Prosthetic bacon is what I'm looking at for fucking $7.50. Fucking $8 for this
Oh,
shit.
I would not
$8 for this
love
fucking
that. That is
I guess a big
expensive.
negative about this state is the winters, but overall Boston seems kind of like a
I
Leeds
love
or
the winter.
Manchester American equivalent. Pretty decent, but fucking cold. I do, however, have a sweet spot for that northern charm. I think it's the Swedish blood in me. So I'm gonna give you guys a strong B. Alright, now we're on to this top northern corner. And I don't know if this is controversial to say. Can we just consolidate this into one state? In a country where Texas and California exist, there ain't no reason why New Hampshire and Vermont aren't at least smushed together. Anyway, I'm gonna go through these pretty quickly, as the probability that someone from Maine is watching this right now is like 1 in 5,000. However, Maine is definitely
Never
the
been.
coolest out of these, alright? They got
Really?
spooky evil creatures and shit. They got serious
Ooh.
lobster related economic prosperity. They got a
I
fucking
like
desert.
ghost
They got
stuff.
hillbillies, and most importantly, my Scandinavian
Yeehaw.
ancestors were out there way before, like 500 years before Columbus. Maine is getting a B. Hey, I like a good freaky evil spot like that, man. Hit me up if you got a ranch in Maine, bro. I need to visit. New Hampshire is basically a more boring version of Maine. Less freaky,
Never been.
less lobster. I was really looking for some fun facts or something about this state. I literally couldn't find shit. Please, New Hampshireans, comment if I'm wrong here, but you know a state is bad when you look up its fun facts, and the first thing that comes up is that they have around 1,000 lakes.
What
Boy,
is
that
the
ain't
fun
shit.
fact
Don't come
from
to me,
my
a half
state?
British, half
I
Scandinavian
do not
man,
know.
and brag about your amount of lakes. If you're not Canadian, you are gonna lose that one. Vermont, you know how tiny
There.
of a population you gotta
I
have to be
choose you.
under fucking North Dakota. You know how little citizens you gotta have to just minorly beat Wyoming? Oh no, bro. All I could find about these guys is that they make some pretty mid ice cream, and they put out an arrest warrant for George
How dare
Bush
you?
because
Did
of
you
the-
just
some pretty Wyoming? Oh no, bro. All I could find about these guys is that they make some pretty mid ice cream.
Ben and Jerry's is not mid. It is very good. I love the cookie dough and also the pumpkin pie ice cream that they have in Halloween season, which obviously I like that. I love pumpkins. I look like a pumpkin. And man, I really want the pumpkin stuff. I wish they had that more often. Cookie dough. Play.
And they put out an arrest warrant for George Bush because of the Iraq War, which is pretty
That's
awesome. That being said, though, you guys are getting a D like New Hampshire. Whatever. Onto the glorious Midwest, starting with somewhere
Have I
a
been
little
to any of
history with.
those?
You know,
I
everyone's
don't think
favorite
so.
state, Ohio. They got corn.
Ohio,
I'm
skibbity.
struggling. Ohio's
Got
kind of interesting because
shoot
on one
me.
hand, they got the most dilapidated urban wastelands. On the other hand, they have these crazy rural Amish communities that are like America's version of the Sentinel Island uncontacted tribes. Truly a state with great variety. One thing I truly didn't comprehend about Ohio was how many fucking people live there. Somehow, it's the 7th most populous state. That being said, it's the only one out of the top 30 most populated states that has a declining population. That means more people want to move to Alabama than Ohio, bro. And for that reason, we could see Ohio lose its top 10 status in the future, which isn't surprising, seeing as it's apparently pretty common to find Ohio natives cosplaying as being from other cool parts of the US. Trust me, right? Go to the trendiest block in Brooklyn. Go to the most hipster coffee shop you can see. Go up to the guy with the suspiciously thick New York accent, the Yankee cap, and the hipster beard sitting at the window, faking reading a book. Ask him which borough he grew up in. 1000% he's gonna stutter a bit, look up at you with shame in his eyes, and quietly mutter, I'm actually from Upper Arlington in Columbus, man. But
I don't
please
think
don't
he'll
tell
actually
anyone."
tell the
All
truth.
that hate aside, I'm probably gonna end up ranking Ohio above some of the other Midwest states.
I like it
purely
just for the
because it
meme.
has the population, it has the big cities, the manpower, and it has a half relevant importance in terms of my career. So,
Really?
I gotta represent. Indiana. I'm sure Indianans
Never
will get
been.
angry at me for saying this one, but I think the state is pretty similar to Ohio, just more flat and more rural. And
Most
instead of having 3 big
states
cities,
are pretty
they have
similar.
one. If anything, I guess it looks a little more aesthetically pleasing than some of the other Rust Belt states, especially if you fuck with corn. Unless you go north, where there is a almost entirely abandoned ghost town called Gary, a place so inhospitable that they just barricade the highway exit that goes to Gary. Anything to keep humans out of that place. I think in an old video I actually promised I'd visit Gary, Indiana one day, so it might be on the cards soon. We'll see. Either way, it's not looking good for Indiana.
Maybe
bro.
I'll go.
I'm
That
sorry
looks
to
like
do
a cool
this, but
photo shoot area.
right next to Gary, however, there exists
Never
one of
been.
the great American cities, Chicago, Illinois, home of the bean,
Oh, the
Kanye,
bean.
deep dish pizza. What more could
Okay,
you
that's
want
what
from
I
a
was talking
city?
about.
Well, quite a bit more,
Kind of,
to be
maybe.
fair. Despite having 12
It's
million
under the
people, this
sauce.
city has a completely inefficient, unreliable public transport network. Some of the worst neighborhoods in the Western Hemisphere. Fucking shitloads of pollution, all types, and in general, it's a pretty minging place. But that being said, the cultural relevance of Chicago can't be understated. The amount of music, art, etc. that's come out of here. I like how they make the river green on St. Patrick's Day, much to
That's
the
them.
amusement of
Okay.
actual Irish people. I like how they put cheese under the tomato sauce.
Cheese. It's under the sauce. There's no cheese on it. It's under the
And the
sauce.
sauce.
Like, I'm Italian and this is hurting me.
It's in Chicago.
But it's just sauce.
It's under the cheese.
That's not enough cheese.
It's under the sauce.
Not enough.
But
And the
that's
sauce.
Chicago we're talking about. What about the rest of Illinois? I know it's very frustrating for Illinois citizens how everyone thinks their state is only Chicago. So I came up with a map labeling the entire state. First off, we got Abraham Lincoln's house. Then we got amphetamine abuse. Then we got the bean. And then we got corn. That should lay it out more
Let's
fairly.
go.
I'm thinking low D for you guys at best. Then we got
Yeah.
Michigan. Famously
Never
best
been.
tap water in the
But
country.
that's where
Famously least potholes in the country.
where Big Time Rush. That's where they came from, right? And like the pilot is there, right?
Famously one of the most prosperous and upcoming economies in the country.
There.
Famously beautiful, sunny, mild winters. Famously one of the
I
most
love
reliable,
cold winters.
forward-thinking public transport networks in the country. Famously, cuisine mecca, one of the world's prime locations for fine dining.
Talking
Oh my
about
God, man.
transportation
Michigan is
in the
a
US
mess.
like
Cities
beating
like
a dead
Detroit,
horse.
Flint, they've almost reached complete meme status for just how bad they are.
What about Ohio? That's meme status. What?
For example, right, Detroit was meant to get this big sign like Hollywood. This was the original plan they proposed. And yo, this is what they ended up building. Bro, this state can't even build a small scale infrastructure project without getting fucking roasted. It's crazy.
Now here we go thinking we about to get some shit. Now they done order us a sign off fucking Wish. I thought our sign was gonna look like Hollywood. That's probably why they put this bitch right by the hood. Thought we was about to get some shit, they really just hold us. Then gave us a sign in Times New Roman. And we just keeping it real, we ain't never hated. I think I seen a bigger sign at a graduation. Hey man, we must have got these letters on a discount. We ain't blow too hard, fuck around and knock this shit down.
You know, some of those clear negatives aside, I gotta give it to these guys. They got some spirit, they got some soul, they got some good fucking energy, man. Plus, despite the state shrinking in population and influence recently, you gotta admit, bro, Michigan culturally is low-key more influential than all the other Midwest states combined. So many musicians, so many bands, athletes, inventors, they got everything, man. Bro, Germany straight up wouldn't have music if it wasn't for Detroit. You know that Berlin style techno music, right? That all Germans bump. Just guess who invented that shit. What the hell would depressed leather-wearing Germans do without Michigan, man? So I gotta give them a low C out of respect. Danny Brown is like my lifelong idol, bruh. They have to be above Illinois. Wisconsin, it sounds like it should be part of Canada. Wisconsin, you know what I mean? I also say that because back in the day there was this poor dude from Wisconsin who'd never left the Midwest before until his family moved to fucking Birmingham, UK. I felt so sorry for that poor guy, bro. He was sat next to me in a load of classes, and I swear the only thing I remember the guy fucking talking about was ice hockey, how I shouldn't use swear words, and hot dog eating contests. This guy put me on Joey Chestnut early, fam. In Milwaukee, I know they got that funny ass clap music, and that's the absolute extent of my Wisconsin knowledge. It's getting a low C for my OG, man. Shout out. Next up, Minnesota. Okay, I might sound a bit biased, right? But I think this is a state people are seriously sleeping on. It's got some of the best public services in the Midwest, maybe even in the US. Education, public transport, relatively low cost of living. People here are friendly as fuck. Yeah, they might have absolutely abysmal, unbearable, horrific winters, but they got you covered, okay? Minneapolis figured out the most American way to protect its citizens from harsh winters. You simply do not have to go outside. The cities in Minnesota are designed with indoor corridors going between buildings above the streets. So effectively, assuming you have a garage, you can go about your entire day and not breathe fresh air once. It's a 4chan user's dream, bro. This is American innovation at its finest. Something about this skywalk system is so satisfying to my brain. I fully want to visit Minneapolis just to walk around endless corridors for the entire day. I feel like that would give me ultimate peace. I actually think this is kind of genius, right? Because it solves the mall problem that the rest of the Midwest has. The reason so many malls in Michigan, Ohio, Illinois, Indiana lay completely abandoned and decaying is because people have no reason to drive all the way to a physical non-food related shop and buy stuff anymore. And the idea of a mall is to rope customers of other shops into your shop through IRL marketing. A mall only works if people are walking through subconsciously browsing. Well, all these skywalks obviously have a lot of people walking through subconsciously browsing, and they put shops in them. It's perfect. And it means Minnesota skirts one of the big urban decay problems that every other Midwest state has. I actually think in a lot of ways Minnesota is kind of the best example of how a Midwest state can operate in 2024. But I have to admit, yeah, I do have a little personal bias for this state, right? They got hella Swedes. Nah, not those. I'm talking about Swedish restaurants, shops, cafes, inns, churches, a colossal IKEA, entire
IKEA.
Swedish-speaking
I wanna go to
communities. I'm
those.
talking towns called Lindström. They got plaques commemorating the OGs. Their football team is called the Vikings. Oh my god, man. Plus, this state has a load of Somalis too, so I know they're gonna have my samosas on point. Man, this state has gotta be an A. It's gotta be an A. Right, Iowa. Man, I do not know. I was looking up, like, good things
Never
about
been.
Iowa, and consistently one of the main pros seems to be that the traffic is great. There's no congestion on the roads. Yeah, maybe because there's no fucking people there. How can you have a traffic jam if there's 2 people driving down the highway? They do not have a city with more than 208,000 people. Literally all Iowa do is corn and Slipknot. That's it. I'm not definitively making this cool. I'm open to Iowans changing my mind in the comments, but for now, I'm sorry, man. Missouri, on the other hand, is like Iowa, but actually with some notable cities. Well, just about. They kind of just about scraped having both these cities. Firstly, St.
Have I
Louis,
been
the
to
burgers
Missouri?
look fabulous, the pizza
I don't
looks
think
god
so.
awful, but seems like a half-decent city, I guess. And then we have the city that these guys straight up stole. It's called Kansas City, but it's in Missouri by about 20 miles. Bro, make it make sense. Why the fuck did Missouri get Kansas City? Surely this is unfair, man. Oh, yeah. Alright. This state seems alright to me, but apparently a lot of people hate it. They got poverty, crime, decent bit of meth. Also, people like to state how it's a red state, a free Republican land. But they have these massive, insane jaywalking laws. Like, you have to pay if you get caught crossing a fucking road.
That
Freedom my
sounds like
ass, bruh.
a
Y'all ain't got no
Republican.
rights. That being said, it has to be Iowa. So we'll give it a low E. And Kansas seems to me like Missouri, but with less meth and more good old
think
corn.
I've been to
Yeah, corn is
Kansas.
becoming a big theme with these states, isn't it? I don't know
But
too
for,
much
like,
about Kansas,
less
but I've
than
been
a day.
informed from some inside sources, yeah? Lawrence is apparently the spot. I've heard it's a cheeky little unexploited gem, so I would like to visit one day before it gets Austinified. That being said, though, we're really getting into some Great Plains territory
Oh
with
boy.
Kansas. And obviously that
Texas.
comes with the dreaded twisters. Kansas is one of the worst states in terms of tornadoes and is currently under severe tornado risk as I speak. And bro, you're telling me I gotta risk my fucking life and my house being violently disintegrated into dust by the wind just to live somewhere that
I mean,
looks
that's
like this?
everywhere in
You're
the South.
fucking tripping, bro. The risk versus reward ain't adding up. You're telling me I gotta live in an endless astroturf field and my op is the air? I gotta beef with the air? Nah, that's crazy, man. Kansas getting a low D just because I want to think it's nicer than Missouri.
What
And
do
I do
Europeans
think the
have?
world should get together and make
Do they not
Missouri
have
give Kansas City
tornadoes?
to Kansas. Nebraska. Oh man, this is where
Never
my
been.
boy Saul got banished to, man. I can't represent Gene Takovic, bruh. Nebraska seems like one dull state. It's either corn or Omaha, and I can't say Omaha seems like the most fun city. This state is so boring. It actually houses
show is
some
this?
mammoths. Once again, people
Ooh.
out here risking their lives just to live in Nebraska, which seems even more boring than Kansas. So yous are unfortunately going to be getting a high F. I'm sorry. I know. Now on to the Dakotas, neither of which have a mill. So I'm
I don't
gonna
think I've
fly
been to
through them pretty
either.
quick because I highly doubt more than 10 people from either Dakota are ever gonna watch this. First off, you guys should just merge into one state, let's be real. I know there were some silly arguments back in the day, but come on man, this would make way more sense. North Dakota, they're literally just Canadians. They got Canadian accents. Winnipeg is their closest major city. They gotta deal with temperatures as low as fucking minus 50 degrees. North Dakotans are on average richer than South Dakotans, I guess. Yo, people are actually balling out here for some reason. 6th highest GDP in the country. I mean, it makes sense. You'd have to pay me a serious bag to live up in Fargo, bro. In North Dakota, they got the tallest structure in the USA. The only purpose of which is to make sure they have good TV signal, allowing brain-rotting talk shows to be just as enjoyable in Grafton, North Dakota as they are in New York City. If someone put a gun up to my head and said, I hate to do this, Leo, but you're gonna have to move to one of the Dakotas for the rest of your life with no chance of escape, choose one now or perish, I would definitely go with North Dakota, for the reason that I was able to talk about North Dakota for about 20-30 seconds, right? I think with South Dakota, I got max 10 seconds. The one and only notable thing about this 77,000 square mile state is that they got Mount Rushmore. That's it. All my notes on South Dakota are done. They are
I
getting a
hate
medium
tourist
to
spots
low E.
like that.
Sorry. Right, well, that's the first half done. The East Coast, New England, and the Midwest have all been tier listed, and I'm going to emphasize this right.
Let's
This
go.
isn't final. If you've got any...
I haven't really been to that many of the ones mentioned. Maybe when I do the second one, I'll be more knowledgeable. But until next time, I hope you enjoyed. But until next time, bye-bye.